Grotesque Shadows. In the dim, candlelit room, the coven leader's features contorted into a chilling grin. The flickering flame threw sharp, dancing shadows across her face, etched with the scars of countless moonlit rites. Her normally lifeless eyes blazed an unsettling emerald. An unseen energy swelled within the cabin walls, prickling my skin and escalating my fear to near hysteria. Her hands raised, she uttered syllables in an alien tongue I could not decipher. My gaze swept over the area. Sinister figures skulked in each corner, their faces concealed but their malevolent intent tangible. At the heart of a chalk-drawn circle, fire spat and hissed, casting grotesque shadows on the wooden walls. But what seized my attention was not the fire but what our leader cradled, a wax effigy bearing my likeness. As her chanting escalated, the statue seemed to soften, its face warping until it mimicked my horrified grimace. Dread washed over me as I realized that I wasn't merely observing some ritual. I was its epicenter. The coven had deceived me into providing them with strands of my hair which they now used to imbue the effigy, power enough to torment me beyond human endurance. Each twitch of the waxy figure sent jolts of pain radiating throughout my body, wrenching screams from my throat that were swallowed by the coven leader's ongoing incantation. With a forceful thrust, she plunged the melting wax figure into the flames. As it liquefied, a searing pain ripped through me, clouding my sight and buckling my knees. I crumpled onto the floor like a marionette severed from its strings. Silence blanketed the cabin save for the snapping fire and my ragged gasps for air. The coven leader loomed over me, her green eyes glinting with savage satisfaction. "The curse is cast," she rasped icily. "Your pain nourishes us. Your suffering is our triumph." A horrifying epiphany dawned on me. My blind faith in these shadowy practitioners had been my undoing. I was trapped, every wince and whimper only strengthening their sinister spells. But as their frosty laughter reverberated around me, a second realization dawned. This wasn't the finale but a foreboding commencement. Guffaws bounced off the timber walls, then petered out into the night. The coven's matriarch knelt, her garments gathering at her feet like a shadowy specter. She delved into her pocket and pulled out a vial, its contents twinkling with an ethereal luminescence. My hand trembled as she thrust the vial into my grasp. "Consume this," she commanded. "It will tether you to us, amplify your torment." Terror gnawed at my insides, yet survival dictated compliance. I tilted back the vial. The icy liquid trickled down my throat before it blazed, scorching me like a rampant wildfire. The world whirled. Constellations exploded in my sight and sweat purled on my forehead. Agony seared every nerve. The coven's laughter pealed out again, a jarring symphony that reveled in my suffering. Yet amidst this torture, something kindled within me. Resilience twining with dread sparked a rebellion. I pushed myself onto unsteady knees, despite my blurred vision and the burning pain. The leader's laughter choked abruptly as she registered my defiant posture. Astonishment flickered in her eyes. "Unthinkable," she murmured. I bellowed, rising to my feet, standing tall against the anguish. My heart hammered fiercely, the adrenaline fueling my fortitude. Locking eyes with her, I registered her momentary shock as silence blanketed the room. An unrecognizable energy throbbed within me, wild and uncontrolled but undeniably mine. A savage beast of anguish clawed incessantly at the fabric of my sanity. I trudged forward, each step a silent defiance against the crippling agony. The leader's face contorted from surprise to a steely determination as she registered my approach. The chanting resumed, her voice weaving with the discordant symphony of her coven. Their chants reverberated in the wooden belly of the cabin, crafting an eerie serenade. Beneath my skin, a dormant wellspring of power awoke. It reacted to their incantations as if called by name. Unbidden, my hand reached out for the spectral chain, a tether woven with suffering but now humming with untapped energy. It pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat, tying me to them like a live wire. Survival, an ancient instinct embedded in our genetic code, propelled me to yank the ghostly lifeline. The collective might of the coven surged into me. A gasp rippled through them as they felt their life force drain, their chants stuttering into silence. Shock, fear, and disbelief reflected on the coven members' faces. The leader reeled backward, her eyes wide and bulging as she tasted the bitter backlash of her malevolent magic. The ghostly link between us sparked in the darkness, pulsing with raw power as our energies tangled. I poured all my defiance into this supernatural force, seeking a way to break the bond. The effigy in the fire continued melting away, but each drop of wax marked a victory for me. The coven leader clawed at her throat, gasping for air. She sank to her knees, coughing and wheezing, expelling a thick black substance from her mouth. I would afford her no mercy. With clenched teeth and unyielding resolve, I gave one final tug at our spectral bond, drawing all of their energy into myself. A brilliant arc of power shot through me, overwhelming my senses. A triumphant roar escaped from deep within me, drowning out their cries of despair. It ended. The bond snapped, and the rush of energy dispersed in a shockwave that bounced off the cabin walls, extinguishing the fire and plunging the room into darkness. Silence, broken only by my ragged breathing and the occasional whimper from a defeated coven member. As my eyes adjusted to the dimness, I surveyed the figures huddled on the floor, once formidable foes, now pitiful shadows. Victory. The cooling wax sizzled, drawing my attention back to what remained of the effigy. Its melted form bore no resemblance to me. A grim satisfaction swelled within me. I had faced down my tormentors and emerged victorious. A bone-chilling scream sounded, sending my heart into a palpable pounding inside my chest. It was followed by an unsettling silence that put my nerves on edge. As I ventured out into the night and deeper into the darkness, an unanticipated dread washed over me. The darkness around me shifted, taking on strange shapes. Suddenly, two bright red eyes cut through the blackness, staring directly at me. I shivered. Before I could react, the monstrous figure lunged at me from the shadows. I attempted to flee, but my legs refused to obey, rooted to the ground as fear tightened its grip. The creature closed in with an unnatural speed and agility, unusual for something of its size. It extended its claws toward me. Frozen with terror, I could only watch as it bore down on me. The last thing I remember, before everything went black, was its terrifying roar ringing in my ears and the hot gust of its breath against my face. The mystical wishing well. The clock in Langley Creek struck 12 and the town fell quiet. The old wishing well, covered in ivy and lit by hanging lamps, was a constant presence in the town square. The locals knew it held a certain magic. Tess approached the well under the moonlight. She had a reputation for being hard-working and tenacious. She tossed a coin into the well, silently asking for happiness. Suddenly, an entity appeared from within the well's darkness, breaking the silence to caution Tess that wishes often come with their costs. Fear crept into Tess's mind. Her life dramatically changed. Her humble abode transformed, morphing into a haven of luxury. The once threadbare garments she wore were replaced by haute couture gowns that shimmied around her form. She exchanged the hustle and bustle of serving tables for the relative tranquility of an office job. A striking gentleman made his appearance at her doorway, cradling a bouquet of blooming roses in his arms. But as time wore on, things soured. Tess's new lover grew cold. Social gatherings felt forced. Bad luck seemed to follow Tess wherever she went. Broken mirrors littered her path. She stumbled upon black cats and thunderstorms broke out on clear days. One night Tess sat alone in the square reflecting on her recent misfortune when, once again, that entity surfaced from within the well's darkness. Its eyes glowed eerily through the dense fog that tended to be thicker as New Year's Eve approached. Whispers reverberated from within the well, leading Tess into fog-shrouded streets, armed only with a lantern for guidance. As she neared the well, fear gripped Tess like icy fingers. The wind carried haunting sounds that sent shivers down her spine. Tears streamed down Tess's cheeks as she stood resolute before the well, determined to right her wrongs. "I won't let this curse torment our village any longer," she shouted. "If my life is what it takes to end this suffering, then so be it." The entity chuckled, seemingly amused. "Brave talk," it responded. "But are you truly prepared for what you're asking?" "I am," Tess confirmed, taking another step forward. "I will be the one to end this suffering, whatever it takes." With that final declaration, Tess leapt into the well, disappearing below its dark surface. The gathering crowd watched in stunned silence as their worst nightmare unfolded. Tess's screams echoed through the night air as a monstrous beast emerged from beneath the water. Once human, time had twisted its form into something horrific. Its skin was gray and charred. Its long limbs ended in claws. A deformed face with sharp teeth protruded from its lips and stared at the villagers with evil intent. "Learn from this," the fiend roared. "The well's power reflects your greed." It glared at them, then added, Your curse isn't just from the town, but from your hearts. Turning to the village elder, it announced, "The curse ends tonight, but a new darkness will rise, a result of the narrow-minded desires that have blinded you to reality." In the sleepy hamlet of Langley Creek, Tess's story became the town's backbone, haunting and inspiring its residents in equal measure. The narrative carried the weight of an accursed settlement and an invisible beast that lurked within its shadows. The creature stalked without being seen, its existence marked by the unsettling rustling of leaves or an inexplicable shiver running down one's back. Tess was more than just a character in this spine-chilling tale. Even after her body had succumbed to death, her spirit remained. In the collective consciousness of Langley Creek, she evolved from a mere memory to an enduring symbol of courage and selflessness, defying the constraints of mortality. Thus, Tess persisted, not just as a whispered legend, but a timeless symbol of bravery and sacrifice that would forever resound in the folklore of Langley Creek. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Thank you for watching.